this is really a 6-volume set of all the mortgage assignments in Palm Beach County that are these bogus DocX mortgage assignments. I also decided along the way, discovered along the way, that Lender Processing Services, the parent company of DocX, was producing similar documents out of their office in Minnesota at a greater rate than they were producing their documents in the office in Alfredo.
DocX is just the people that make up the bogus document.
Yes.
Okay.
And Lender Processing Services, and DocX is out of business now, and Lender Processing Services was the parent company. Yeah, they were the ones in Georgia. So then there were also the ones, as I put these books together, that were signed by Cheryl Sammons. For those of you who don't know who Cheryl Sammons is, she was the go-to woman, the #1 stooge for David Stern, who was the largest law firm in the state of Florida for foreclosing banks. Cheryl signed tens of thousands of mortgage assignments as an officer of many, many different banks and mortgage companies. She would sign anything that was put in front of her, same kind of problem. Sometimes things were notarized, but where her signature was supposed to be, there's a blank line, but it was notarized anyway. So it was the same kind of practice.
How did you identify to pull just the assignments? Is there a way you search the county records for that?
Well, there's an easier way now, which is called findthefraud.org.com. Michael Olenek has taken all the county records and put them on his site so you can search by document type. When I searched, I just hit next, 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 next a lot. And first I would search the name American, because it would give you American Home Mortgage, American Home Mortgage Acceptance, American Home Mortgage Services. I, of course, searched all the Deutsche, Bank of America, BAC Home Loan Servicing, Countrywide. You know, I began Chase, you'd have to search Chase Financial, JP Morgan Chase, and Lisa just told me I have to search now when I'm searching for Chase Home Sales, which is the name of the Chase subsidiary that owns some of our properties in the county. So this whole thing, the Cheryl Sammons LPS DocX study, this is among your documents. These say the average, the loan amount on the DocX assignments. A lot of assignments don't, but these do. So I went through it, in addition to finding how many DocX assignments there were, I went through and added up the loan value on each of those 1,700 some assignments to find what the average value was of a loan that was being transferred with these bogus assignments in Palm Beach County. And the average value is $321,607. I'm talking about the motive for the crime here. Okay, just on the 1,742 DocX assignments that we were able to find, that means the banks in an 18-month period were able to transfer $560,239,797 in mortgage money in one county. So start multiplying that in your head and see where we're going with this. So the Cheryl Sammons one, in that same 18-month period, she did 1,506 mortgage assignments. And the total loan value using that $321,000 figure on hers was almost $500 million, $484 million. Then the LPS Minnesota was even more. In that same 18-month period, there were over 2,800 valued at $901,142,814. When you add these together, in an 18-month period, just from these three sources, and now we have found that there are document mills, there are at least a dozen other document mills that did the same thing to our county records. We find that the total loan value of properties transferred to banks as trustees for trust in Palm Beach County is almost $2 billion in an 18-month period.
Forgive me, what's LPS stand for?
Lender Processing Services.
Thank you.
And it includes among its member companies 51 of the largest banks in the country. It's located in Jacksonville, Florida. So if you watch too much TV, or if you actually do white collar, there's this thing, follow the money. Who is the beneficiary of these? The number one beneficiary in Palm Beach County is Deutsche Bank, second is American Home Mortgage Servicing, and third is Wells Fargo. So that is what got me into this. The scope of it all and the size of the fraud is just so hard to wrap your head around. When you first see it, you are somewhat overwhelmed by it.
When does that end?
When does that end? Tuesday. Tuesday, we're not going to feel overwhelmed anymore. So the next chart in here. So when you see what's happening in our county, how many properties are being transferred to the bank trust using fraudulent documents to transfer these, you just want to go into the courthouse every day and say, wake up to the judges. But if you do that, you get escorted out if you're lucky. More on these documents. This is the median sale price for existing homes in Palm Beach County from 2005 to 2011. And you'll see that in November of 2005, the median sale price for a home in our county was $421,500. As of November, which is the last number I was able to get, it's $183,700. So when you see in the papers that the home values have shrunk by 25% or even 40%, that's lovely across the country. But here in Palm Beach County, it sunk a lot more than that. And the new numbers are about to come out. So why are the banks boarding up the houses and not selling them? Because this is all of the problem they created. The more foreclosures, the further the home values go down. That's what the message we all need to get out. Foreclosures hurt everyone, and particularly other homeowners in the county, because their home values just continue to plummet. That they join that group that's underwater, that owes more for their mortgage than their home is worth. And the spiral continues. There's a chart in here, foreclosures filed by 15 major banks in Palm Beach County, 2007 to 2011. Just the 15 major banks that I researched, it's close to 90,000 foreclosures in that 5-year period. And the number one forecloser was Wells Fargo. Wells includes the Wachovia numbers.
Right over here, folks.
Yep. Number two is Deutsche Bank.
Hold on a second, just so you know, in Palm Beach County, our tax money is deposited. It is the county's depository bank, so they're actually making money off of their bad acts here in Palm Beach County. They're the depository bank for when we pay our taxes and our fees. It's a great opportunity for opposition or protest.
And in other counties, not only, one of the nice things that happened when I went on 60 Minutes, there were so many nice things that happened, is that I got a call one day from a fellow named Jeff Stigpen, who was the county recorder of deeds in Guilford County, North Carolina. And he'd seen the segment on 60 Minutes, and he said, I wonder if there are these same problems in Guilford County. And so we went into his office the next morning, and I've met his staff now. There's 11 lovely people. And he said, I want you to go through every document filed in our county records and pull out the ones that are signed by Linda Green and stack them up here on my conference table. And partway through the day, the stack was about this high, and this lovely man, Jeff Stigpen, took a photo of it on his cell phone and sent it to me online and said, look what we have in Palm Beach County. He then went through and pulled out every other one. He made a list of them on his website. He had a press conference. He is the #1 reporter in, well, I have to hedge my bet when I say that because of John O'Brien. But he's one of the two leading proponents of accountability for what the banks have done to our land records across the country. Jeff invited me to come up for a press conference with him. I did. You know, it's a different reception than I'm getting from Sharon Bach, I like to say again. And we went through all this with reporters in his county, and the remarkable thing about his list was that some of the county commissioners made the list and said, what do you mean, Jeff? Call him up. What do you mean my satisfaction of mortgage signed by Linda Green, Vice President of Wells Fargo Bank, might not be legitimate? He said, well, she's really just a former auto parts saleswoman working at a document mill in Alpharetta, Georgia. She never was a vice president of Wells Fargo Bank. So he got some reaction because people react to this if they are personally harmed. So he got some reaction from that. But one of his big pushes was to his own county commissioners, let's get our money out of Bank of America. Because Bank of America has a document mill that does the same kind of thing, where he immediately fast forwarded to that thought that Lisa just conveyed, which was, let's not let them profit anymore from our money because of their bad acts. We're going to get our money out. He's still working with his commissioners on that one, I think. The other one who's called for that is, if you watch any of this, there's a fellow named in Massachusetts named John O'Brien. John O'Brien was the first county recorder that asked the FBI to surround his office with crime scene tape because it was indeed a crime scene. And he also pulled out every single document in his county records that had been robo-signed, surrogate signed. I'm going to talk about that. That's supposedly what I came to talk about. And has been a leading proponent of accountability. John O'Brien has gone so far as to tell any homeowner across the country that if they want an affidavit to use in their foreclosure, that the document is robo-signed or surrogate signed or fraudulent, he will provide it for free, which is an amazing thing. He's called for criminal investigations repeatedly. If you just do a search of Recorder of Deeds John O'Brien, you'll be very impressed. So back to our charts. We have 90,000 homes foreclosed upon by 15 major banks in Palm Beach County, and the biggest being Wells, Deutsche, Bank of New York, and Bank of America. The next page is foreclosures filed by servicers, because mortgage servicers was probably a term many of us didn't know 3 years ago, but we now know that many banks do their dirty deeds through subbing it out to a mortgage servicing company. And so I've listed some of the top mortgage servicing companies. Aurora Loan is, it's done alphabetically, but Aurora is the servicer for all those Lehman Brothers loans. So that's why Aurora is way up there. And you can see that you may see, but another 13,700 foreclosures in Palm Beach County in that period were done by the mortgage servicers. And of course the peak year is 2009. I'm going to talk about that a little bit.